the whole premise of Financial Peace University, I mean, it's kind of a based off of Proverbs 22:7, where the rich rules over the poor and the borrower is slave to the lender. And, if you really look at that as far as your, the banks or the credit cards or whatever, like, who are you working for? Who is your master?
Yeah.
Is it MasterCard or is it your Lord and Savior?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is Ryan and Michelle, and welcome to the Celebrate MarriageCast, where we hope to restore and reclaim godly marriages through honest and real conversations.
Welcome to you, our listener, and thank you for joining us today. We are on episode 64, and we are talking about a hot topic today, Ryan.
Hot topic. Yes, Michelle, we are going to talk about one of the top subjects.
Much anticipated and requested topic.
Yeah, / issues, maybe, in marriage.
Not communication.
No.
But something else.
No. The subject is probably one of the top reasons for conflict in marriage. And that's why we have a guest with us today, because he's super passionate about this topic. And Michelle, can you guess what it is?
I want to know if our listeners can guess. In your mind right now, do you have it? Do you have the topic? Although you probably saw it in the title, which is maybe why you're watching. It's finances.
Finances, yes.
In marriage.
Absolutely. So we want to introduce our guest, Matt Haugan. Maybe, Matt, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, about your family, and why this topic of finance you're so passionate about it.
Okay. Sounds good. I very, very passionate about it. That's what landed me here at Celebrate. I was married before. I lost the marriage to finances, and found Celebrate after that.
Wow.
And just coming to Celebrate for a few years, we there was a sign on the door, "Take Financial Peace University," and I was dating Joni at the time.
Okay,
and so that's what that was our pre-marriage counseling.
Okay,
basically.
I don't think I knew that.
Right,
Yeah.
and so we really felt that was probably, taking a biblical finance class was, I mean, obviously it was something that was very passionate to me, and to her as well. But yeah, the using that as almost a premarital counseling was great to start off. The number one problem in marriage is money fights and money problems. So why not get that started off? On the right foot. And so like I said, that was something very passionate to me. The first thing I ever paid cash for actually was her engagement ring.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
So it was just one of those things where I wanted my past, basically about cleaned up, and all of the debt and everything cleaned up. And then the first thing I paid cash for was the engagement ring, and it's like, yep, here we go.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So over 15 years later, 2 kids, and
And that's your ministry now, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're so passionate about it that you and Joni, your wife, now do that as your ministry.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So we've, like I said, we took the class dating over 15 years ago, and been in the class, probably it was a year afterwards or whatever, we started to help, I should say. And then a year later, we're leading it and still are. So,
wow.
So cool.
That's really cool.
I took the class early on in my time in Celebrate too, and I think you guys might have been the leaders then. I'm trying to remember. It was very early on in my time too, but that class has been so impactful. So, Matt, you're also on the local board of administration, which is our LBA. Some churches call it the Elder Board here at Celebrate. Mm-hmm. And you guys are a big racing family too. Tell listeners, just so they can get a flavor for who you are. Tell them a little bit about your passion for racing.
My hands are usually greasy. But we have 2 boys, 13 and 11-year-old, and they both have go-karts that we race all summer, all winter. We actually leave to head to Missouri this Friday for our indoor that we race about every other weekend.
Wait, these aren't like little kid go-karts. These are like fast,
Yes.
right? Like,
Yeah.
how fast do these go-karts go?
So,
These are like superpower, right?
Yeah. Well, there's a bigger track that just opened in Brookings a few years ago, and our older son was in the higher horsepower class, which they're in now. And then at the time, Caleb was 9. And at 9 years old, he was at 46 miles an hour.
Oh my gosh,
Wow.
that's so fast.
And
I'm just imagining
Micah,
our son going that fast.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and at that time, Micah was 11, and he was at like 54 or 55, somewhere in there as top speed. And I remember reading it off of that. Yes, they have GPS on them. They tells us how fast they're going. It tells us way too much information, but they.
I couldn't do it. I don't know how your wife does it. I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, that's where I was going with it. Like, because I was like, wow, Micah did 55, 56, whatever it was, and she's like, don't be saying that.
Yeah. I don't want to know.
Yeah,
don't want to know.
Yeah. So yeah, but. Yeah, and then we've graduated Micah into a little mini mod. So basically, it has a 600cc motorcycle motor in it, and yeah, so he races on big tracks, well, just kind of locally right now.
Super
in the
cool.
Midwest. So yeah, that thing scoots.
Yeah.
Pretty cool family hobby. And what I appreciate about you guys, Matt, is that I know people have mentioned this before, but you guys, like, you race on like a Saturday night and then you zip back home Saturday late, and you're still here for church. You're still here for the community. And you guys are just such committed, faithful members to the church. So we just, welcome to our show. We're so glad that you're here. And thank you for sharing your time and talents today.
Yeah. Thank you.
So Matt, as we said, we're talking about money today, and why is it so important to have this conversation in the context of marriage?
Just to be on the same page with your spouse, and and by all means, we don't get it right every time either. We still have, I wouldn't say we have money fights, but ours are money discussions.
Okay.
Because, obviously you're married, so you're not the same.
Right.
Right. I guilty, I am the spender, know, and she's the saver,
Okay.
and so you kind of need that in a marriage where, and somebody is looking more short term, one's looking more long term, somebody's worried about, what are we going to spend this month on groceries, and the other one's going, we should be investing better, or we should be looking at insurance, and it could be the husband, it could be the wife, either or, know, so just kind of looking and having those conversations, like where are my strong suits?
Yeah.
What makes me, because like I said, in my previous marriage, it was, here, you do everything. Well, you're not doing it good enough. I'll do everything. Oh, turns out I don't know how to do it either.
Right.
You can't do it all yourself, because you're not wired that way to be able to handle it all. And so working together in a marriage and using your strong suits of using those things is
I think that's great. You're both going to have unique skill sets, and when it comes to things, or different, even long-term, short-term, some of those things. But I do want to jump back to something, because I love this. What is the difference between a marriage fight about money and a marriage discussion about money?
Gotcha. So I think a marriage discussion is probably more of a where we're going.
Okay.
What are we, not a marriage discussion would be kind of a, Joni and I, at the beginning of the month, we sit down and we budget, and we put together a whole budget for the month. And so you're having those discussions, what are we spending on racing this month? What are we spending on entertainment? What are we spending on gas, on groceries, that kind of thing, clothing, those kind of things. So you're having those discussions at that time, instead of coming home from the store with a $500 leather jacket.
Yeah.
Well, how are we going, golf clubs, or whatever, you pick it, so then that is the money tension or the money fight, because it wasn't discussed prior to. It was, hey, look what I bought, or I wanted a new power washer or lawnmower or whatever. Right. Well, we needed that money for kids, some, new clothes for the kids because their pants are too short,
Yeah.
Sure.
So then becomes the money fight and the money struggle of, we didn't talk about it, we didn't communicate,
Right.
we didn't save, we didn't budget, we didn't plan. You're doing your thing, and then now the fight happens.
Yeah. So I think this is so good. I love this because I think the discussion happens before the money's spent.
Mm-hmm.
The fight happens after the money's spent.
Right.
And you're trying to figure out where it all went, leading to tension.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Our money is spent on paper before you get paid, and that, your investments are getting invested in, the bills are paid, okay, now what are we doing? What are we doing with this? Are we saving for kids' college? Are we, all those discussions are happening, and we teach that in class, but, and it's not something that you're trying to do all at once. And that's one thing too, where married couples they're trying to do too much. They're trying to, pay extra on credit card debt, and they're trying to pay extra maybe on the mortgage or car payments, or, and then, they're trying to invest and, not really laser focus on anything, any one thing to, we're going to knock out debt and we're going to get that out of our lives so we can invest, or we can do this, that, or the other thing. Those discussions just, they're not happening, and the laser, they're just trying to do too much. And then that's where the money stress and the money, because one person is wired, I don't want a car payment. The other one is, well, we got to have a nice car,
right?
And so, so the one's trying to pay down, the other one's trying to spend it, and
different goals.
Yeah, different goals, and it needs to be our goals.
Sure. Matt, why do you think that finances are considered one of the top issues in marriage? Why is that? Does it come down to that communication, or why is it such a big issue?
Yeah, probably. And a lot of things could be, could be a control issue too. I'm the breadwinner, and this is, I'm going to spend my money, and you're going to spend your,
Sure.
So there's obviously non-communication issues. There might be, like I said, control issues, or, there's just, yeah.
Yeah, and money really is tied to so much, right? It's tied to our needs, it's tied to our wants, it's tied to our hobbies, it's tied to our, dreams of vacation, which might mean for some people spending more time with family or going to see family more. It can be really emotional too, because it's just, money's just money, but it's tied to so many feelings and emotions too, that then it just gets more complex.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Somebody wants to go see, and we see it in Financial Peace all the time, where, somebody wants to, with Thanksgiving just happening, Christmas coming up, there's going to be a lot of family travel and things like that, where, if you're not budgeting and you're not talking about the gifts money that you're spending, well, you might have spent too much to where now that one spouse can't, we can't go, because there might be hotels and travel or whatever, like to where,
then it's a super complex situation then, because that you're spending that just took away our family time, and that's, really layered. I do want to tell our listeners really quick, we told you last week that we would be talking about family dynamics this week, and we actually moved that to next week. Tony is coming next week to talk about family dynamics, but we wanted to bump this show up. That way, if you are in your holiday spending, you can at least have a few more tips. So I love that transition. Maybe we kind of shift gears. Ryan, you had a question about holiday shopping and this time.
And you kind of hit on it, Matt. Like we're into December now. I would imagine this is probably the month where like the most money is probably spent,
right?
And spent on gifts for loved ones, for kids, for spouses, and holiday travels, all of these things. I would imagine it probably some people might overspend. So maybe let's talk about this. Let's talk about, maybe some different things that come up with the holidays or challenges that come up with the holidays in particular.
Right. It all comes back down to the budget. If you didn't set a budget on how much we're spending on the kids or how much we're spending on XYZ, Joni and I, our budget every month includes gifts, but our gift budget about doubles starting in August.
Okay.
I mean, we're saving for Christmas in August.
Okay.
In Financial Peace University, I mean, when we're talking about it, Dave has an excellent example of you're sitting there at Thanksgiving dinner and all of a sudden, you choke on your turkey because you realize that Christmas is in a month.
Right.
I haven't saved anything,
right.
And there's so many expectations of whatever the new thing is, our kids got to have this or, that or whatever it may be. And you're sitting there at Thanksgiving dinner and you realize that, Black Friday's tomorrow and we got a lot of shopping to do and we didn't plan for any of it.
Yeah.
And then, you blow through the holidays and get the credit card statement and end of January and you're going, well,
now we're paying for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So now, because you went in with no plan. There wasn't a budget. We just went and we bought what we wanted, and then January we find out how much we actually spent. Because if you didn't plan it, you have no idea what you even spent until you see it.
So here we are, December 10th. So what is your advice for people that are in the middle of December and have probably spent money already without a budget? Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe they're already down that road. Is there a way to kind of course correct, or what are some tips for people that they can implement yet as they're shopping?
Right. Well, I mean, I would suggest, maybe even just sitting down and getting the receipts and figure out where you're at, what you've already spent, and really look and analyze of the next few weeks of presents and things like that, where maybe maybe we already have overspent. Maybe we need to, look at who doesn't have gifts yet, and if we need to put a budget amount to each person, because this is what we have, to where, just looking at it, see where you're at, and
sure.
And setting those dollar amounts, and can we cash flow it? Can we not? Are these things that these people are probably not going to even use, remember more, are these trinkets more important than going to the family Christmas?
Right.
That $500 here versus $500 worth of travel.
Right.
Might be more important.
Sure. Experiences. Yeah. We do one shopping day a year where we both take a vacation day, and Ryan and I go Christmas shopping, and we get coffees in the morning and we plan out. We get our notebook and we plan out. And Matt, we do have a budget, and I have all of our budgets from the previous 10 years. And I have, a list of kind of who we give to. We have a really big family. We have 3 sides of the family, and we give gifts to everybody. And I like to give gifts to our service people. So our mail carrier and garbage haulers and all the people get gifts from the O'Connors. But we have budgets that carry over. But we were looking through our gift list from last year, and Ryan and I just kind of chuckled because we're like, our one of our kids, we gave them this and they totally don't even use that thing anymore. So it's it's just stuff. But I will say that tracking our gifts has also allowed me to, or kind of brought some awareness to how much we actually buy. Because I think when you're out in the store, you can kind of get carried away on an emotional, with your heart. You're shopping with your heart and your eyes. And just I just love this person so much. And they like that and that. But actually to write it down.
That's totally me.
You're not, I mean.
Not terrible, but.
You're not bad. No, you still stay within,
right.
Our guidelines.
Right.
But it does kind of bring some awareness to, we already got them this and this and this. Once you're actually writing it down, you're actually they have a lot of things. We're good there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Wow. I think one of the other things that I think we've really, Michelle, that we've started is having those conversations, even with family. like, what are the expectations? And like, what, this year, like, we've kind of narrowed down some of the gift buying because it just was like, hey, like, we've always done it this way, but like, we don't need to continue to do this. So sometimes it's just a conversation, even, maybe within your own family, but maybe extended family. And maybe people are at a point like, hey, I'd rather just be together. Yeah. And maybe we don't even need to do this anymore.
Yep.
But it's having those conversations and understanding those expectations.
Yeah, and if you still want that fun excitement of some kind of a gift, on the O'Connor side, we swapped to going to a name swap, a Secret Santa type deal where everyone is going to be responsible for one person's stocking, and that's going to be a $25 budget. So super reasonable.
Right.
But instead of getting gifts for all of the people, and then if you don't see them very often, how do you even really know what they want either?
Right.
Yeah, so just kind of reeling it in a little bit has been good.
Yeah.
Great point, Ryan.
Yeah. So when do you, Matt, have these conversations for the holidays? Like, when does your budget get set for the upcoming holiday?
Right. Well, we've been budgeting for 15 years.
Yeah.
So, it's so second nature anymore. So I don't even know if I can honestly really even answer that. I just know that in August, it doubles.
Yeah.
And at the end of the, and we go buy gifts, and, we don't go crazy. We don't go overboard, but there's, and we have envelopes of cash, that we still, that's what, and then Joni goes shopping, or I'll go shopping, or whatever. And it comes out of that.
Yeah.
And, if there's money left over, then, it just keeps rolling, because there's always going to be January birthdays too.
Yeah.
Or anniversaries or whatever, so gifts don't stop.
Yeah.
You just know that, for you to give how you want to give, because that's what we're called to be, as givers.
Yeah.
So, you really want to, you want to give, and you want to give well. And so, yeah, we like I said, we just lay it out in August, and away we go. And and so you can't have too much gift money,
right.
and
right.
So you can't, you just get it done, and yeah, there'll be money left over.
So are you starting to buy gifts in August, or are you putting money into an envelope with that designation?
Yep.
Okay, because for this envelope concept might be new for some people. And you mentioned a guy named Dave earlier. He's referring to Dave Ramsey. So you're referring to a system which Financial Peace University uses, the envelope system, right?
Yeah. We're weird. We pay cash for groceries. We pay cash for clothing. We pay cash, and it comes out, and we just have these earmarked items, envelope or earmarked envelopes with certain cash in it, and that's what you buy with that. So.
It's a different feeling to see cash leaving your hands versus tapping a card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a weird. It does make you think a little bit harder about. Ooh, do I really want that?
Yeah, right. Yeah, a $100 bill feels different than a card.
Right.
Right. For sure.
That you're paying later.
Mm-hmm.
So Matt, where do people even begin? Let's say that there's a listener out there, probably many listeners that have already overspent, are in debt, maybe up to their neck, up to their eyeballs, feeling like, I just don't even know where to start. It feels so much right now. What is a good first step for them in their relationship and in their finances?
I would always lean back to the budget, but in a marriage or whatever, it's just outlining your goals as well. Do we want to be paying off on this, or what do we want to be paying on? But so, just having those conversations and the communication about it, but the budget will bring those topics up anyway. And you can find those things online, and I would say, don't overcomplicate the budget. You've never done one before. Some people go overboard, and and they're, Excel spreadsheets, and they got 17 tabs on the bottom, and it all auto calculates, and the other person's going, I don't even know what you're talking about, so, there's that, just the first couple months of budgeting, it needs to be really, really simple.
Okay. And you had said, I don't know, maybe this is a spoiler alert for the class, but you said, focus on what you're paying off. You're referring to the debt snowball principle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you want to just speak a little bit about that? Yeah. Is that a good next step for people to kind of start considering?
Yeah. I mean, if you're wanting to get out of debt, the debt snowball is a great tool where you're basically starting at your smallest debt and you're paying that off. You're making minimum payments on everything. We go as far as saying stop your investing, get as much cash as you possibly can, and just start at the smallest debt, work your way at it, making minimum payments on everything, and just attacking the smallest one, working your way up. The smallest debt isn't the most, it might be the least interest rate or whatever, and people are like, well, I should be doing that, but starting with the small debt, you will pay it off, and then you roll to the next one, you pay it off, and you see that momentum and the belief that you can actually get out of debt.
Yeah.
Where if you start at something that's $25,000-$30,000, like a car or whatever, car note, you are going to lose that enthusiasm and the I can do this. But if you're incrementally, taking small bites out of it and moving up the ladder, you'll definitely keep the momentum rolling and have more success.
It feels like a win.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Really is about getting some wins to get momentum going.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's great.
What about how do they start this conversation with their spouse? What if they've just never really talked about it? Do you have a tip for how they even start that conversation in a safe, calm manner?
I think maybe just talking about your dreams and, where do we want to go? Do we, start big picture? Do we want to retire? Do we want a summer home? Do we want a vacation home? Do we want a place in the hills? Whatever, maybe you start with, if you're a younger couple, if you're late 20s, early 30s, I mean, seriously, 20 years is going to be, you're going to be in your 50s.
Like
and
that.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, having those goals and those dreams kind of outlined, that would be a great place to start, because, honey, we're not going to be able to do any of that.
Yeah.
If we're a rat in a wheel and all we do is run, we don't get anywhere, and you're 50 years old or whatever, and you don't, you haven't saved for retirement, you don't, so let's just start on what do we want our lives together to be like?
Yeah, that's great. Because really, when you think about it, when you buy things, you're trading your time and money for things. So the more of that, you're right. You're just kind of on this wheel and you're just working to pay off your things. But if you make some adjustments and maybe you don't buy a brand new car, but you buy a used car or whatever, our cars are all paid off. Actually, everything's paid off. Our house, our cars, our credit, everything's paid off. And it's so freeing to be like, you know what? Our cars are a little bit older, but we also went to Iceland this year. And last year we took our kids to Europe for 2.5 weeks and we traveled around. But to be able to have those dreams come true of we're not chained by that debt. And that is so freeing.
Yeah.
And to be able to give generously.
Yeah,
that when
absolutely.
when God puts something on our heart, we just shared last week, we did that. We sent a DoorDash gift card to someone. And it's like when that's put on our heart, we're not chained by anything. We can just
do it.
Pull it, and just make that happen. So
absolutely.
Yeah, that's great.
So, we live the same way. We live a debt-free life. We've paid for everything, paid cash, for everything for 15 years. We don't have any debt either. We don't like that. We don't have those chains,
Amazing.
Yeah.
And not saying that to brag either, but just truly giving our listeners hope of when you sit down, when you do this system, when you really budget and just dream and figure out what is important. I love what you said, Matt, about what do you want your future to look like? What's important to you?
Right.
Maybe it is having really nice cars and reliable transportation, or maybe it's travel, maybe whatever it is. But yeah, that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole premise of Financial Peace University, I mean, it's kind of a based off of Proverbs 22:7, where the rich rules over the poor and the borrower is slave to the lender. And if you really look at that, as far as your, the banks or the credit cards or whatever, like who are you working for? Who
Yep.
and when you're looking at that, and who is your master?
Yeah.
Is it MasterCard or is
Yeah.
it your Lord and Savior?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Matt, it's been so good. Just kind of really scratching the surface on this, but I think it's really good to start this conversation about finances. And as we wrap up here, kind of shifting, but we like to ask our guests three questions.
Okay.
Just kind of rapid fire, whatever comes to your mind here. So first, what is your marriage why? Why is marriage important to you?
Marriage is important. Just a great family unit, raising kids in a good marriage. I think your kids, your generational, looking at your legacy, and not as finance, but your legacy of your kids and their kids, and what does that look like, and having a good solid marriage where you can talk about your future, and and around the kids, they hear those things and they pick up on them. Is we talk about finances all the time.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great. It's great to teach. When you talk about it, they learn, and they pick up on what you're doing, and that's part of how they learn.
Right.
Know?
Do you want to teach them about finances, or do you want the guy on the car lot to teach them about finances?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Matt.
Hey, we do have a guest of the show, Lucas. Hey, this is not a slam. He's no slam on other fellow members of Celebrate that happen to sell cars and work on the car lot.
I love Lucas. He's great.
All right. I
didn't even think about that. Yeah. Sorry, Lucas.
It's fine. All right. Best date night.
Best date night. So, we like to go to St. Paul, go to Minnesota Wild games.
Oh, fun!
Awesome.
And it's great. Downtown St. Paul is great. Hotels are right there. You don't have to drive. I hate driving in big cities. So you wheel into the hotel, you walk across the street to the game. Come, it's great. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
nice.
Those kind of date nights. I mean, we don't do many date nights locally.
Okay.
So ours are kind of destination getaway.
Yeah.
One day, 2 day things.
Yeah.
Super fun. Get out of town and just kind of separate from work. I mean, you're a business owner, so it's like just have that separation, right? Yeah. And that's hockey, right? Minnesota Wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're Minnesota United fans, so that's soccer for us. But yeah. Very cool.
All right. And then lastly, Matt, what's bringing you joy in your marriage right now?
Just, Joni's great. Kids are great. I'm probably the loose cannon out of the whole thing.
I doubt that, Matt.
No, I don't. But no, kids are great. Just a good family unit, and knowing you have that at home, and that I might not be there as much as I probably should be. I'm working on that as well. Working on time management. So just. A great family, great to come home to.
Yeah, it's great.
So good, Matt. Thank you so much for being here. Do you have any parting thoughts, either of you guys, for the show? And then, Matt, I want you to share a little bit about Financial Peace University, but anything just on this topic of finances and marriage?
Yeah. I think just getting started and just having those big dream conversations is a great place to start, and just kind of laying it all out, and just because otherwise, like we said, do you want a money discussion, or do you want a money fight?
So good.
And it's just getting on the same page, and Financial Peace University is a great way to do that.
Tell us a little bit about that if people aren't familiar with that.
Yeah, it's a 9-week class. Used to be 26, and then it was down to 13, and now it's down to 9.
Okay.
But it's you can take it at a church, but since COVID, things have really kind of shifted to a virtual learning environment. So there's virtual classes with virtual teachers that, and you watch a video and they help you with any of your budget questions, or, we talk about insurance, we talk about mortgages, we talk about, generous giving. I mean, just over the top giving, because that's the whole premise of the class. Get yourself out of debt so you can be so you can be a giver, because it's not yours,
Yeah, it's from God, right?
Yeah,
God's blessed us with it.
Yeah.
I love that, Matt. And, I think our generation, I don't know if they learn this now in school, but I don't feel like we really learned that. I didn't learn about insurance or mortgages or even debt in school. You just started getting credit card things when you turned 18 and no one told you anything. So, anyways, that's so good. Where can they go to find out more about Financial Peace University?
Yeah. You just Google, Financial Peace University. I mean, that's the site will link you over to Ramsey Solutions.
Okay.
That's kind of, Dave is getting older or whatever, so it's the next generation, whatnot. So there's a whole team of people. There's all kinds of debt calculators, mortgage calculators, investment calculators,
cool.
So I mean, if you're an investment person, and you want to show your kids or whatever, what compound, like you talked about, nobody taught you anything like that. I mean, if you could set a 16, 17-year-old kid down and show them what compound interest does, if you could, hey, when you get out of school, the first thing you do at 18 is get a credit card and go in debt. Like, what if the first thing you did when you were 18 was starting, putting $100 a month away?
Right.
Okay, well, what's $100 a month for an 18-year-old? And plug that into something, into an investment, and see what that even is, when you're 50, 60. I mean, if you time on your side, I mean, I didn't have that either. I did the same thing. I went backwards at 18. I didn't go forwards.
So good, Matt. Thank you. Ryan, any final parting thoughts for people on this topic?
Yeah, I love, Matt, what you said about the discussion, the marriage discussion versus marriage fight, and do the work on the front end. It'll save you the fight on the back end. I love that. I think that's if I had a golden nugget from today, it's that. I think that is so good. That conversation is so good.
Yeah. See where your money is going, not where it went.
Yeah, perfect. I love that.
Golden advice. Matt, thank you again for being on the show today.
Thank you. No, it's been fun.
For our listener, thank you for joining us. We hope that this was so valuable. This has been a topic that we've had requests to talk about, and we've really have been wanting to talk about this for a while. So we're so glad that we can make this happen. We hope it was such a gem of knowledge for you. Let us know your feedback on it. Leave us a comment. You can text us at our text line 605-951-0110. We're on Instagram at Celebrate MarriageCast, and you also can find resources at Celebrate.church/marriage. Additionally, we will make sure that Financial Peace University link is in our show notes for today. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope that you have a great week.
Have a great week.
Thank you.